Thank you so much for joining us on another flight on Aviation this week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi. Aviation remains a capital-intensive industry, no thanks to the dollar-naira exchange rate. Aircraft acquisition is almost an uphill task, not even for struggling operators in Nigeria. But there are ways to bridge that cost. That's where aircraft leasing comes in. What exactly is leasing and the benefits to airline operations? Plus, Nigeria revives its surveillance screening as the Ebola virus rears its head in the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's our sneak preview.
Nearly half of the passenger airlines flying today are leased by the airlines from big plane leasing companies. The main reason is because it's cheap. Airlines lease aircraft from other airlines or leasing companies for two main reasons: to operate aircraft without the financial burden of buying them and to provide temporary increase in capacity. The industry has two main leasing types: wet leasing, which is normally used for short-term leasing, and dry leasing, which is more normal for longer-term leases. The industry also uses combination of wet and dry. For example, when the aircraft is wet leased to establish new services, then as the airline's flight or cabin crews become trained, they can be switched to a dry lease.
The lease rates are higher, and the reason is because they feel that when they are going to retrieve their assets, it's going to be a fight. So they actually put some premium on it that will help them with their legal fees. And in case they cannot retrieve it at all, at least they have gotten as much money as they can. Now, if you look at it like that, it's the country risk. If you look at Ghana, for instance, and look at Nigeria, we are almost on the same West Africa. But you can see that it's easier sometimes to lease an aircraft from Ghana.
Wet lease is a leasing arrangement whereby one airline known as the lessor provides an aircraft, complete crew, maintenance and insurance to other airline with the acronym ACMI, or other type of business acting as a broker of air travel called the lessee, which pays by hours operated. The lessee provides fuel and covers airport fees and any other duties, taxes, etc. The flight uses the flight number of the lessee. A wet lease generally lasts 1 to 24 months. A wet lease aircraft may be used to fly services into countries where the lessee is banned from operating. A dry lease is a leasing arrangement whereby an aircraft financing entity known as the lessor provides an aircraft without crew, ground staff and other support. Dry lease is typically used by leasing companies and banks, requiring the lessee to put the aircraft on its own AOC and provide aircraft registration. A typical dry lease lasts upwards of 2 years and bears certain conditions with respect to depreciation, maintenance, insurances, depending also on the geographical location and political.
It is extremely important that the NCAA ensure that a Cape Town Convention is applied to the fullest. The moment there is a breach, or the moment there is lack of payment, or there is a default, they should quickly invoke the IDERA, which is the irrevocable deregistration, which gives the NCAA the powers to deregister the airplane and take the airplane actually and give it to the owner, and so that the owner can fly it out of the country. The better for all of us, the better for the entire country, the better for opening the markets for leasing companies to come and lease aircrafts to us. But in as much as leasing companies are still finding it very difficult to retrieve their aircrafts from Nigeria, it will be very difficult for us to even lease, not aircraft, even engines, wheels, everything.
Damp lease is an arrangement where the lessor provides the aircraft, flight crew and maintenance, but the lessee provides the cabin crew. At the end of July 2015, the top 50 aircraft lessors managed 8,184 aircraft, of which 511 were turboprop regional airlines, 792 regional jets, 5,612 narrow-body, and 1,253 wide-body airliners. In 2017, 150 lessors were managing 8,400 aircraft worth $256 billion and 2,321 aircraft in backlog from 81 of them, with their penetration stabilized at 42.6%. Aircraft lessors are often banks, hedge funds and financial institutions. But here in Africa, aircraft leasing is a nightmare for operators, as the absence of aircraft leasing firms on the continent forces operators to swallow the lessor's stiff conditions.